Hello BYW students, it's Mr. O'Sullivan. Today we're going to be looking at lesson 4-10, mixed review with proof vocabulary quiz review. Just as a reminder, you will be having a quiz on Wednesday. You'll have to do something similar to this worksheet. I'll be giving you a visual, you make some statements, and of course you write your reasoning for those statements. Tomorrow we're going to be doing our final day on addition and subtraction postulates and proof. So make sure you attend the Zoom, that way you can really understand what we're doing with addition and subtraction. Then Wednesday you have your quiz, and then on Thursday and Friday we have our pause. So those who are in danger of getting an NX for the semester, you need to attend the pause. So let's begin. Our learning target for today is I can apply my knowledge of geometric terms by marking an image and forming a conclusion. Our first example, we have KJ is perpendicular to LM, so whenever you see this symbol right here, that is your perpendicular symbol. So what I need to know is when I have KJ and it's perpendicular to LM, I have segment KJ right here. I'll make it a little thicker. KJ is right here, and it's perpendicular to LM. So when I look at that, I can see that I have right angles. So when I have my right angles, I can say angle 1 and angle 2 are right angles. That's the first thing you can say. You can say angle 1 and angle 2 are right angles. And your reasoning could be definition perpendicular or perpendicular lines create right angles. Now here's the thing. We know all right angles are not add up to, but we all know all right angles are equal to 90 degrees. So angle 1 is 90 degrees and angle 2 is 90 degrees. That means I can say angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. My reasoning would just be all right angles are congruent. You can't say definition perpendicular for this because perpendicular doesn't say that they're congruent. Perpendicular just says that they create right angles. Now, C is the midpoint of AE only. So I'm not saying C is the midpoint of BD, I'm saying C is the midpoint of AE. So when I look at my image, I start at A and end at E. I'm saying C is the halfway point. So if I look, I just broke up AE into two segments. I broke AE up into AC and CE. I can say AC is congruent to CE, and my reasoning would be a midpoint creates two congruent segments. You also could have said definition midpoint. Number 3. AD bisects angle BAC. Note this is not a segment bisector, this is an angle bisector. So if I want, I look at AD, here's AD, and it's bisecting angle BAC. So I start at B, go to A, end at C. So I'm bisecting this angle right here. So if I look, I can say that this angle is congruent to this angle. You can name them with letters or you can name them with numbers. Tell me how you would want to name them. I'm going to do 3 and 4. All I have to say is angle 3 congruent to angle 4. I can say definition angle bisector, or an angle bisector creates two congruent angles. Let's go on to our next example. BD is the median to AC. So if I look, median is my keyword. I'm saying BD is the median. So if I look, one second, I'm sort of chopping AC in half. So what two segments on AC can I say are congruent to each other? I can say AD congruent to DC, and my reasoning would be definition median, or a median creates two congruent segments. So again, definition median, or a median creates two congruent segments. Let's go on to our next three examples. LO bisects MP at N. So bisects means to cut a segment into half. It's not an angle bisector, it's a segment bisector. So I am bisecting segment MP at N. So if you look, I'm breaking up MP into two different segments, MN and NP. I can say MN is congruent to NP. My reasoning, definition bisector, or a bisector creates two congruent segments. Now comes the challenging one. XZ is the perpendicular bisector of WY. Remember, let's take it step by step. You have to say three things whenever you have a perpendicular bisector. We know perpendicular, we're going to have 90-degree angles. So if I look, XZ is the perpendicular bisector of WY. So if I want, I can put a 1 and a 2 here, and I can say angle 1 and angle 2 are right angles. My reasoning, a perpendicular bisector creates two right angles. Well, we know all right angles are 90 degrees, so what can I say about angle 1 and angle 2? I can say angle 1 is congruent to angle 2, because all right angles are congruent. And then last but not least, I'm bisecting WY. So I can say WZ and ZY are congruent. And my reasoning, definition perpendicular bisector, or a perpendicular bisector creates two congruent segments. Now, not a proof question or with proof vocabulary, but actually, what do these symbols mean? Because you need to make these symbols on your image while you do these types of questions. If I look at AD, I see that AD is overlapping. Whenever we put the X on something in our figure, what does that represent? It represents our reflexive postulate. So that X means reflexive. So that means in our proof somewhere, we're saying AD congruent to AD. If I look based off the tick marks, what are we stating about BD and DC? Well, if they both have one tick mark, we are saying that they are congruent. And then what type of angles are being represented at angle ADB and angle ADC? Well, if I look, they both have that little square. So I can say that they are right angles. And I can say that they are also congruent. Because I know all right angles are congruent. That's it for your quiz review. If you have any questions, email myself or Miss Daniel. Have a great day, ladies.